Thank you. Every 24 hours, because it could grow contamination at that point. So it would just be an empty tube like this. Can you do this? Show this one to Nico. So it would come packaged, and so it would be empty and new. And the problem with an empty and new thing, it'd have a cap on the end, which I'd have to keep not sterile but clean. You know, I wouldn't like be like that and then hook it up to somebody's stomach. Am I right? And so. Can you just show them how the top? It doesn't matter which one it is. The top opens so you can pour the food in. All right.
It's usually a can.
Or it could be a can of something.
Or the bigger one that you
Sometimes it actually comes in a container and you spike it. All right. You want to make sure you use tube feeding, not IV tube. Please, if you need to keep track for some reason, like maybe you are doing that lavage, don't write on here with a felt tip pen, because it will actually leach through the polyvinyl chlorine and it won't be good for the patient. Put it on a piece of tape and put a label there. All right. Namiko, if she was using this, would have to do something called purging, which is to get the air out of the line, because we wouldn't want to put the feed in there and then like give them a huge big bolus of air starting out, because that might cause regurgitation and vomiting. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. So she would begin by, and sometimes the pump, they're set up to do this.
She's kind of harder than the IV tubing.
She's going to squeeze the,
yeah,
she's going to open the roller clamp,
yeah.
Squeeze the drip chamber, and if you invert the drip chamber, the fluid will push the air out first, and you come up and then flip it over. Otherwise, it will tend to drop down to a very low level. And you see that little plastic line on there? See that little plastic line? That's the drip line. It needs to be filled to that level. Otherwise, it's going to suck air down the bottom. And then see how this part is stretchy? You pull it and I'll pull it. See how this part is stretchy here? The way a feeding tube pump works is this little thing is just massaging that tubing at the rate.
After you get a little bit, then you
like
keep pulling, then it go
all the way down to the end. And then we would thread it through here. So this one has a little optical eye that can see drips, and that's how it's determining that it's working.
So they can tell, you know, right here, they can tell, you know, if it's empty, it's going to complain. If it's totally full, it's going to complain.
All right, if it sees air and no drips, it's going to warn you.
Here.
So it stretches around, and most of them work kind of in that capacity. All right, I could actually set up this one to go, I guess. All right, and so then I could actually, hook it up to my client, and I could hit start, and it would be going around. Let me see if this one will actually do it. So on. This one doesn't have the fluid in it like that one. We should use this one, because this one's going to complain after all that. See how it alarms? So that's going to tell you. And some of the alarms that it might have is occluded. All right, occluded means it's pinched. Maybe it's under their arm. Occluded might mean it's up against their stomach wall. All right. Can you see how a roller clamp works? So that's locking it down. As it compresses the tube, it's getting more. It's less volume. Do you see what I mean? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
Thank you. Okay, let's see if that one actually wants to go. Yay. I'm going to hit it.
What does it do? Oh, the fluid goes down?
Yeah, the flow of the tube. So you push it up and it's kind of like
Oh, I see.
You know what's going to happen is it doesn't quite fit in here, and so it's going to drip all over the world. There it goes. All right, so you can see it going in, and it would be slow. All right, head of the bed needs to be kept up in a continuous feeding. All right, so it's going around. See how it's going around? It's drip, drip, drip. All right, that.
So it's pulling this, right? That the one that I was pulling.
Stretching.
This part. That's stretching.
And it's giving now 100 cc's an hour is how many ounces? An ounce is 30 mils, so it's just over 3. So it's going to be pretty slow. Because you imagine you drinking something. How much is that big coffee from Starbucks?
21.
Well, the small one is what? Yeah, 12 ounces, 16, 20. So this is a very slow rate. But let's just see what happens here if we cause trouble. All right. So when I come in the morning and I have a patient with a continuous tube feeding in place, I stop it. I check their residual. I want to make sure when this was changed last time. I want to make sure the solution is what I think it is. Because if it indicates, oh, it needs to be changed today at 10 o'clock, I'm writing it down on my list and I know that I'm actually doing that. Wow.
Okay. The leftover cake from the seniors?
Lori,
Break time.
all right, we probably have to hold this for some minutes for it to be able to actually alarm. You want, it's break time though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's take a break.